Hi there, I'm Matt Keene. Thanks for visiting Creating a Future We Want, the Our Learning series, where I share just a little bit about what I'm learning with our girls who are 5 and 9 right now. And today, in the car, interesting conversation got going. I asked how what is a probability do you think, or how often? What's the frequency? How often what's the likelihood that when a bird of prey comes down to collect, capture, catch a snake, um, a venomous snake, the snake bites um, the the hawk or the falcon or eagle or whatever it is, um, versus the bird getting the snake and eating the snake. And I don't know much about this at all. I don't have any expertise in those predator-prey relationships there. I've observed both of these life forms a lot and been around them a good bit, but I don't know anything about this. And I just asked the question, and boy, it just led to a lot of really interesting discussion. Um, First of all, just the idea that, like, if a bird eats snakes, does it even eat toxic snakes? Um, I think so. I think that I'm just speculating here, but I've never heard that birds never eat rattlesnakes. So but maybe that's the case. Maybe they just birds are able to, distinguish between. And then there's a question: how do they distinguish between a toxic and a non-toxic snake? And I'm guessing a bird doesn't want to be bitten by a snake anyway. So this topic came up. So just birds must have a technique for capturing a snake that reduces the likelihood that the snake bites the bird. And so that's not ever going to be to absolutely zero. Occasionally, a snake is going to get the bird, but is it 1% of the time, 10% of the time? What things affect that frequency? Like, do certain species have a better sort of capture kill rate than other species of bird versus snake, versus species of snake? Is there a difference between them? Is one particular species of bird really good with a certain type of snake, but not as successful with another type of snake? And why is that? We just went on and on and on. And so then we went on to, well, how would you figure this out? How would you create this information? And so we got into experimental design discussion. Well, one could be you just spend like years out here watching and observing birds feeding on those predator-prey relationships, and maybe you get very high tech with drones and multiple drones, and you have a team of people doing it over the years and collect footage trying to not influence the behavior by from way off. And then we talked about, well, how would you design it more controlled? You can make a pen, release snakes in a place where there's lots of birds of prey, set up tons of motion sensor cameras around, or whatever is required to do that, and get the drone footage. And so you've manipulated the environment to increase the likelihood that you capture fantastic video of that. And then we thought, well, you need to ground truth it, right? You need to observe some, and maybe for every one you observe in the wild, you get 10 observations in your pen that has birds grabbing the snakes. So you need to make sure that what you're observing in a pen or in your controlled experiment is pretty much what you're observing in the wild. And then we got into the notion that just by interacting with the environment, how are you affecting the behavior of the snake, of the bird, of their approach to capturing using whatever method they use to capture the snake, and then all of the variables that you could be looking at. We went way down that snake hole, and it was really fun to think about how you would generate this objective truth, this kind of systematic, defensible, replicable sort of information using science as science is understood today. And then I got, the conversation went to, well, maybe there's been some folks who have lived here for like 200 generations and you could just ask them. Maybe they've just know because they've seen it happen through their lives, and many generations before them have seen it happen and they know how. And you don't need to spend 4 years of your life trying to create this new information about, like, generate this new knowledge that is scientific in the way that it's talked about and approached mostly today. Instead, you could look for how this knowledge has been created in other ways and access these other forms of knowledge, which may be much more um, accurate, it could be much more reliable, it could be much more specific. This conversation, it was a 40-mile drive. It went on for a while. I'm Matt Keene. Thanks for visiting Creating a Future We Want, the Our Learning series. What would be your vision of how we decide which knowledge to create next and how to do it?